Hey everybody, we are here at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. My name is Mandy Smith and we've got an exciting program for you today, and it actually involves our resident rockers. Our resident rockers is the Rock Hall's Summer Artist in Residence program. And so these musicians come and they perform on our outdoor stage every week, and they learn so much about honing their craft of being musicians and singers and songwriters. They really learn about all facets of the music industry, and today we are going to focus on their songwriting. We've got with us today Kathy Valentine. She is a 2021 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, probably best known as the bassist and one of the songwriters of the Go-Go's. But she really has a lot of accolades, specifically that make her great for this songwriting session. She recently is the author of an autobiography, All I Ever Wanted by Kathy Valentine. She also got her degree in English and Fine Arts, so she has really thought about the craft of writing, not just writing songs, but writing in general. So welcome, Kathy.
Oh, hi, thank you.
So amazing to have you here today. I just wanted to talk a little bit about songwriting in general before we bring out our resident rockers.
Great.
So you have been writing music for decades, sometimes on your own and sometimes with collaborators. I want you to kind of ruminate on what are the similarities and differences between writing a song by yourself and writing a song with other people.
Well, it's very different. Writing a song by myself, a lot of times I write a song by myself if I'm writing as a form of therapy. Songwriting has been pretty much my best friend in many ways. There's sometimes when I'm going through something really difficult, you know, I'll be like, pick up the guitar, and then, it's kind of good. And it's like it takes you out of that. Yeah. So I wouldn't do that as a collaboration, but so a lot of times, and also collaborating, I've been in a band almost my entire career. I've been in bands since the age of 16.
Wow.
So, and I'm 63, so that's a lot of bands.
That's a lot of
and so most of the time in that situation, it was a collaborative effort. But I've been writing on my own from the minute I started playing. And one of my first tips when people come to me and say, what would you advise someone that's just starting out? I always say, write songs. For me, as a guitar player, it made it less boring. When you're learning the basic rudiments of an instrument, whether it's the piano, you know, you're trying to get your fingers to do the right thing, and it can be a little boring. But if you start putting words and ideas and feelings into it, it's more of like something you're doing on the side. So you're getting better. I also think that being a creator gives you more of a chance to succeed in the music business. Otherwise,
just the way it's set up.
Yeah, otherwise you're just going to be always kind of competing with someone else to be that session player or get this gig, you know, as a touring person, and which is a great way to be in the business too.
Yeah.
But if you're a creator, then you kind of open a little bit more avenues as to making a living.
Yeah, you really do. And in fact, I wanted to read a little bit from your autobiography because you have this great sort of paragraph about the moment you really felt like you were a go-go. And so you had been in the band for a little while, and you know, you guys are working on a new record, and you're trying to discuss, you know, what songs are going to be on the record. And you say here, discussions continued for a couple of days with no consensus until Charlotte brought up a song she knew of. I had shown her my tune, Can't Stop the World, one night, and now she suggested it for the last track on the record. I caught my breath and tried to be cool and nonchalant, as desperate to keep my hopes in check as I was to not let on how important it was. Having a song on our album would make me a full contributing member and writer, more than a late addition, the last to arrive. When everyone agreed it belonged on the record, the Go-Go's became my family, the only thing that mattered to me. The stakes had never been high enough to matter, and now, when they were, Charlotte had been my advocate and the rest of the band had sealed the deal. So it's almost like that was the moment where you felt like, yeah, this is real. I'm really a part of the Go-Go's now.
Well, it just, you're making your first album, and to not have a song, and I considered myself a songwriter. In fact, when they asked me to be a full band member, I said, only if I'm one of the writers. I mean, that was an important thing to me. There's another section in the book that you don't have to read from it, but I'll briefly say that when I first started writing songs, made me realize that I really felt like a musician, because when I was combining what I was doing with what I was feeling, to me, that's Miles Davis. That's any musician.
Yeah.
No matter what your level is, when you're taking what's inside of you and tying it to your craft, you're doing what the best do.
And those are, all of my favorite bands do that. All of my favorite musicians,
Yeah.
Have these songs that you can tell are just deeply personal. And I think then for the listener, they become personal too, and they might have a different meaning for the listener than they do for the songwriter. But I think
definitely.
what makes music so special.
Well, we'll talk about that more, I guess. But as a writer, I try to always strive for making it true to what that's real, something real, but at the same time not isolating my listeners. And to me, that's a part of the craft, is making it ambiguous enough that someone can hear it and tie their own experience to it. To me, that's important as a writer, to make it true to yourself, but also not so on the nose that someone isn't just going, oh, that's just about their experience.
Right. So were there any songwriters as you were growing up, as you were starting out, that you really looked to for inspiration?
Wow. Well, gosh, I mean, I think the music that you love, I grew up I was a teenager in the 1970s, so I was surrounded by, the Stones and the Beatles and Bowie and, T-Rex, and I loved rock and roll too. I loved Chuck Berry, was a great songwriter. And then when
punk rock with words.
Yeah, and when punk rock came out, Blondie, I loved their songs. I think just the Pretenders, Chrissie Hynde, I loved her songwriting. But I think as a writer, you just kind of, you take it all in, and then when you're writing your song, you're kind of just, every now and then you might go, oh, that sounds a little like this or that, and so then you steer it in another direction. Elvis Costello, I thought was an amazing writer with that first album. Nick Lowe, so I'm a kid that's a teenager and in my 20s during that era of songs. I think it's harder now, because a lot of the songs now that are hits on the radio, they're not like it's rarer to find like those hooky kind of, a lot of it's like groove and mood, and it's not as constructed in the same way. And then the ones that aren't really to my taste sometimes.
Yeah, or maybe they don't always get as popular sometimes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the popular music is more based on sort of movement and groove, which is amazing. But things have changed a little bit.
But the staying power, I think, really relies, I still think to this day, one of the things I'm most proud of with the Go-Go's is that our songs, like, they defy generations and time. I mean, there's little 9-year-olds, there's teenagers, my daughter's college friends that love the songs of the Go-Go's. So to me, that's something to strive for, is a song that will last beyond its time.
Yeah, and I think the Go-Go's really did that.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm most proud of about
great.
us.
Well, I think we should bring out our first resident rocker. First up, we have got Jo Oceandusky, also known as Songstress Jo. She's a singer-songwriter from Bellevue, Ohio. She's attending Tiffin University and actually studying commercial music, so she's really working hard at her craft. Her debut EP, Butterfly Soul, is out on all major platforms, so if you really like this song, you'll have to check her out. And this new EP really explores the changes that she's gone through over the years. So she, like you were just saying, is really sort of digging into her soul to figure out what she wants to say in her music. So let's check out Jo's song.
Hi, my name is Songstress Jo, and this is my song, Pandora's Box. You blame Hades for the hell he's put you through. You blame yourself for just wanting something new. There's nothing wrong with giving in to what you want. I blame myself for discreetly loving you. And I can't hold it any longer. Hermes waiting for a response. There's a war inside your mind. Just give Aries what he wants. 7 evils, 7 lies, dropping morals at a time. No, you shouldn't, but you should. Pandora's box open for good. Rage and fear fill up your mind, it's nothing new. Maybe I am greedy, only wanting you. Jealousy's consuming me from the very start. I blame myself for still feeding into you. And I can't hold it any longer. Hermes waiting for a response. There's a war inside your mind. Just give Aries what he wants. 7 evils, 7 lies, dropping morals at a time. No, you shouldn't, but you should. Pandora's box open for good. The same chapter, different page, but the story's still the same. Reading between all your lines. Am I just you passing time? And I can't hold it any longer. Hermes waiting for a response. There's a war inside your mind. Please just give me what I want. 7 evils, 7 lies, dropping morals at a time. No, you shouldn't, but you should. Pandora's box open for good. Pandora's box open for good. Pandora's box open for good.
Thank you for playing me your song.
Yes, thank you for listening.
Yes. Oh, I really love it.
Thank
I
you.
love it. And I did do my homework. I listened to some of your other stuff.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I hear a lot of growth. I really do. And I thank you for giving me the lyrics, because that really opens it up in a much better way for me. I personally put a lot of importance on lyrics. Like, it's really important to me that they, what you've done so beautifully, have a theme, you know, that you return to, and yet it's not on the nose, and it's not cliche, and it's not like gimmicky.
Yeah,
So
for
you
sure.
use the theme of the with the gods and Pandora, and I love that. I think you did a great job with
Thank
it.
you so much.
Your voice sounds incredible.
Thank you.
I like that it's a love song, but it's not a love song in the way of like pining. It's a love song about love, about how complex.
Yeah, it's definitely. I'm a lyricist first and foremost. That's my favorite thing, and I write a lot about events that have happened in my life or experiences I've had. So I definitely take from some inspiration from that.
And it really made me think about young love, because when you're young and love is new, it's like there's so much wrapped around it. There's so much, you're not always as confident as you are when you're older, and so there's so much insecurity and possessiveness and where do I stand, and do I call, or do I, there's just it's so much harder in a way when you're younger. And so you really brought back to me like what love is without it being a love song, like, oh, I'm pining over you and I feel this. So I love a love song that isn't sappy and corny.
Yeah.
That's more like topically about love rather than, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
So great job. What else? Your melody is really, really good. I love that the title comes in not as like you didn't try to make that like the chorus hook, like sometimes people, they just feel like they have to put that title in the chorus and then repeat it and hit it over and over again. And there's a place for that.
Yeah.
But I like that you didn't do that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So what else could I talk about? Let's see. Love the lyrics. Love the melody. Oh, I think it works beautifully. I think it was a great choice to just accompany yourself with the ukulele. I think that was a really good choice. But you could also record it in several ways. And it might be fun if you have the means to do this, to experiment and just do it with some different levels of production just to see, you know?
I've always wondered where to kind of take it, if I want to keep it more on the low-key side, or if I want to maybe do a full band with it. I think it would be super cool to kind of do that kind of thing. So I'm back and forth.
Yeah, if you have, you kind of need to have access. Not everybody has access to do it, but if you do, if you can record and know your way around some software, or have a pal with a studio or something, the thing that's good about doing that is it starts getting you used to using your judgment and being in that spot where like, I really like it like this, but is it losing something here? And being the one that has to make the decision kind of is what makes you the writer and the artist that you are, is by putting yourself in the situation where you have to choose. Is it too much to leave this in, or is it better to leave it in?
Yeah, and the direction of where I want it to go, and how I want it to appeal to the audience.
Exactly, because I didn't get to that point till I was like 30, and I had all this success, but I was in a band, and that meant that every idea had to kind of, somebody else had to think it was a good idea. So I didn't really have the belief in myself as to what my judgment and style was until I did like you do and made my own record. And I don't want to be a solo artist or anything, but I just did it one time. And it was the best thing, because that was when I went, oh, wait a minute. I'm good. I got good musical ideas, and I have good taste, and I have good judgment. And that's such an important thing for any writer or artist to get. So if you could get there before 30.
Okay, I will have to try.
It's a good place to be, because it just, your confidence. And so putting yourself in a situation where you have to make those choices, and you have a hard one, because it works beautifully with just a ukulele. It works really well.
Thank you.
Really does. So but then at the same time I was like, well, you could have a full band doing it, or you could just put in a little synth pad, or
even some strings or something could really take it to the next level.
So it might be fun to just put things in and pull them out and try it different ways and start making those choices. And then when you are working with a label, or if you don't work with, or just a producer, then they can have their input too. But
For sure.
But the more you know what you like, the better.
Yeah.
You
It's
know?
also about, for me, trying to get what I can vision in my head out of my mouth. I know I have problems with that sometimes. So, like, you know, my producers back home, they know me. They've been working with me for so long. But then, you know, I come here and we do the Jim Stewart thing that we've done with recording. And I'm like, how I know what I'm trying to say, but how do I get this, you know, like my vision out to them is definitely something that I struggle with.
Yeah, it's hard. I struggle with that with mixing because I'm a good producer with parts and recording, but when it comes to mixing and trying to tell an engineer, like, fine tune, like, no, the hi-hat's a little crispy and it drives. So then I thought, I just need to learn how to engineer better, so I don't have to do that. Go through that.
Then I sound crazy being like, it's too much like bright and it's too purple for me. Can we bring it to like a blue? And then they're like, what are you talking about?
So let me ask you: are there artists like what contemporary artists do you see yourself kind of in that realm?
I struggle with this question when people ask me. I listen to a lot of music, but I take a lot of inspiration from Melanie Martinez.
I was gonna say
She definitely is someone I look up to in the way that she can tell a story and it can relate to a lot of people, even though it's definitely has a theme and it is like hyper fixated. So she's definitely one that's high up there for me.
I was gonna say that, and then I thought, well, you know, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I like the darkness and the playfulness. Like, that's a really interesting combination to pull off.
For sure.
And some of your other stuff your earlier stuff, that's what I thought of when I was looking at your earlier stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder if she likes Melanie Martinez.
I do. And I also was in a 21 Pilots thing for a while, so like that kind of vibe was a thing that I was going for.
Do you like Halsey?
Halsey's up there, not close to my top, but she's definitely really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's mainly what it's been right now.
Well, I think you are like the other thing I would add is that I look at everything as a numbers game. If I write 5 songs, they're all going to be good because I'm not going to keep writing a bad song. I'm just going to go, this isn't good. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to. So they're all going to be good, but the great one is not going. They're not all going to be great. So I always look at it as a numbers game. The more I do it, the more likely I'll get that great one. And it's just like they don't do. I mean, you don't need to worry about albums as much today. It's a really different business than where I came up, but. You know, in the old days, we called it like filler. You know, you had the singles and the hits and then a bunch of filler. And then there's every now and then there's an album, like the Go-Go's, Beauty and the Beat, where there is no filler, you know, or the Pretenders' first album. So you don't have to think in terms of albums, but think in terms of numbers. Like, you know, when you write 10 songs, one of them is going to be great. Great. So you write 20 songs, and you just want to, in this day and age, it seems like it's all about just keep putting it out. So that means you almost have to write constantly.
Which is my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, so that way when you do get something that grabs people's ears, you want to have already written the other 10 songs so that you've got the next one. So you're going to just have to write so much to keep that numbers game going where you aren't following up with one of your good songs, but it's always a great song.
Yeah, for sure.
That's my biggest, that's what I tell everybody, numbers.
Numbers game.
And it's true for my, like, I'm trying to write short stories now. I have to write like 5 short stories, and they're all okay, they're all good. But the really good one is after writing a bunch of, it's somewhere in there.
Yeah, of course.
Do you have any questions?
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. In terms of the lyrical, because that's my favorite part, like I said, was it too much to have certain references? Did you feel like I was able to kind of still grab the attention of a listener or an audience, being relatable, but not, too, like you said, cliche or out there? Because I know like sometimes when I'm trying to reference things in my music, I feel like I'm referencing too much, or people are like, well, if you don't like the Greek gods, then you're not gonna relate to the song at all. But what do you think the balance is like on that?
I think it was really good. I mean, Hermes is a tough one to stick in a song. And I thought it was a different word, you know. I thought it was heartbeats. So the way you were saying it, but I'm not the best at extracting lyrical content anyway. But that's a tough one to put in. But I think anyone that's going to be captivated, it's probably going to be because of your voice and the melody, and then they're going to want to see, if they're not one of these people that can hear, they're going to want to see what the lyrics are, you know. And I don't see any lines that I think are embarrassing or clinkers, you know. I don't. But you know, the good thing I always look at songs as like property. Like you can always go in and improve it. It doesn't have to ever really be finished. I still do that with songs. Old songs, I'll just like, oh, that was good for being 22, but I'm going to change it. So I think of them as like little properties that sometimes they need a little fixing up, a little remodel. It's like
fresh coat of paint.
Once it exists in the world and you built it, it's yours, and you can do it. So, you know, you'll know if. But I think these are good lyrics.
Thank you.
I like it. I think it was really well crafted.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
that means a lot.
And I like some of your titles on your other songs too. Do you have a song called Bitchcraft?
I do.
When I heard that, I was like, oh, I hope I heard that wrong so I can take that. Because it's such a good name.
Thank you.
Like, oh, I like that. I don't know what the song's about, but
it is about exactly what you think it's about. It is a song, yes.
Well, to me, titles are super important. Like, I feel like I'm like just a boat sailing nowhere on the ocean without a title. Like I need, for some reason, my title, that's where it's like the lighthouse. I know what I'm going towards, and it just kind of, and sometimes that's all I have, and I'm not sure what the song's gonna, and I'll just let that title sit there and simmer until, but I mean, doesn't mean I don't write lyrics and then come up with a title, but I love having my title, and it matters to me.
I love writing from a central idea, kind of like that. Like I'll have like one line that I'm like, oh God, I love this. I'm gonna make that like, you know, either the title or the central theme, the hook, whatever, and kind of bridge off of that. That's something I really enjoy. Thank you for listening to my song. I appreciate the feedback.
Well, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I enjoyed it. Kind of scary to sit there and go, oh God, what if it sucks? What do I say?
How do I let her down easy?
And you're like, the whole time, have you ever been in that spot where you're like listening to somebody and you're like thinking, think of something good, think of something good, think of something good. And you're not even listening anymore. You're just like so desperate to find something good. I didn't have to do that. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad I didn't have to burden you with that.
You know, something that really struck me that the two of you talked about was the idea of love and how you might conceptualize it differently when you're younger versus when, you know, you're growing up. So as someone who's been writing songs for so long, how do you now conceptualize love differently in your songwriting?
Well, that's a good question. I have songs that no one will ever hear. Really good songs because they were dealing with betrayal or pain or heartbreak that I just needed to write to feel better, to fix myself.
That catharsis.
And some of them are really good and they're really, really raw. So right now, I mean, I don't know. I think I'm more interested in exploring it as a author than I am as a songwriter, because that's just where I feel the pull, you know. Because I'm older. I'm 63 years old, and I'm single, and it's a weird thing to be an older woman that's single and still open to love, but you know, so. That just doesn't seem like songwriting stuff to me. I just don't know how I would, but as in a literary way, I think it's would really resonate. And as an artist, it's really about communicating and resonating with people and connecting with people. So I am drawn to the medium that's going to connect me the most. I think my feelings about writing about love would connect best in a literary way. But good question.
Yeah, I am 40 and single and also open to love.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like if it comes, it comes. If
Yeah.
it doesn't, it doesn't.
No, I'm pretty busy, so
I'm pretty busy, pretty happy.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't know how I would do it lyrically. You know, I enjoy. I mean, one of the best times I had musically was making a soundtrack to my book. My book has a soundtrack,
right.
And it was the most creative and interesting musical thing I've ever done because I wasn't bound by any conventions of songwriting.
Yeah.
It's a soundtrack. I can do what I want. I can have a chorus. I can not have a chorus. I can just do a groove and a bass line or guitar or take some stuff from the book and rework it lyrically.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed not having any boundaries at all. And so I enjoy writing about things that are very abstract. One of my favorite songs I ever wrote it's called Bad Choice, and it's about how you make a choice and you live with the consequences. And it's super abstract. And to be able to write a song about, so I love the challenge of writing about things that affect everybody, you know, but that aren't easy to articulate.
Yeah, you can't really put that in words.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's check out our next resident rocker and their song. Next up, we have Jamil Hairston, also known as Jampop. So Jamil is a singer-songwriter from Cleveland. He's got over 2.5 million hits on TikTok. Speaking of how the industry has changed. He's done a lot of hip-hop projects in the past, but recently he's really been honing his pop sound. He's influenced by everything from house music to jazz to gospel, and he's really interested in exploring the crossing between those boundaries. So let's check out what Jampop has for us.
Hey, my name is Jampop, and this is my song Shadow. Sometimes I wish I was my shadow, 'cause it ain't got nothing to do but be black and die. Now I just wanna kick back sometimes. Now I've been feeling like kinda jealous of my shadow, 'cause it ain't got nothing to do but be black and die. Now I just think I need that in my life. I've been drinking. I've been sipping that brown till I'm not brown, I'm lying. I've been thinking. How they gon' shoot off my crown, it's on the ground. And every day, it's Groundhog's Day. Looking over my shoulder, I'm feeling down all day. 'Cause I could lose my life if they scared of mine. Losing my life got me scared of flying. Got me feeling like, kinda wish I was my shadow. 'Cause it ain't got nothing to do but be black and die. Now I just wanna kick back sometimes. Now I've been feeling like kinda jealous of my shadow. 'Cause it ain't got nothing to do but be black and die. Now I just think I need that in my life. Oh, mm-hmm. 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 Too black to be fit for company. Too black to be anything other than me. Too brown to be around company. Too brown to be anything other than me. too proud to be anything other than me.
Well, that is just a beautiful song.
Thank you.
And see, I'm in a really raw place because I lost my mom about a month ago. So I'm very emotionally, like, kind of raw. And your song just tapped into that rawness. And it's just so beautiful because I love music and songs that give me access to someone else's experience.
Yeah.
And like what I hear in that song, it's not my experience, but I felt connected to you because you so beautifully expressed
Thank you.
like what you were saying. And it was very moving to me, very, very moving, because it's just so important. You know, it's so important that we have different experiences, but that we understand them, you know, and I understood, even though it wasn't mine, I understood it and I felt it. So thank you for writing something that did that for me.
No, thank you. I don't mean to also, you know, get all emotional. I wrote the song a couple years ago. My dad passed away 3 years ago from yesterday. And so it's like built kind of off of, you know, I don't want to just call him old and like ruin the sentimentality of it all. But you know, like it's just that saying of, you know, I don't have to do nothing but be black and die. You know, it's kind of like an old sitcom, you know, down south black community saying, I guess.
Yeah.
I just remember hearing that a lot growing up, either from my parents or my grandparents, and so, you know, I kind of wanted to play off of that while still tapping into like this raw emotion that I was feeling. I feel like it's
so interesting to me, though, that I wonder if I was like almost picking up on like the loss of someone, and I don't know, because that's interesting that it came out of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought your choice of accompaniment was like the last thing I expected. I don't even know what that instrument is.
Yeah.
And how you like, what made you pick that up and start playing that thing? What's it called? A
kalimba.
A kalimba.
Yes.
Has it got little metal things that you go?
Yes, I actually brought it with me. I don't know, maybe I can show you after we're done speaking. So I originally wrote the song on guitar, and I'm not really a guitarist. I just kind of wrote it as kind of a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
You know, I was just, you know, I never released it, anything like that. But I was playing around with the kalimba. You know, I like to take it to parks and just, you know, it's relaxing.
Yeah,
it's
you can
fun
just carry it around
Yeah,
easy.
you can just hold it.
Unobtrusive.
It's very light. You can just take it anywhere. And I thought, like, this, it fits. I think it's more indicative of what I was feeling emotionally. It's very straightforward. You know, there's no black keys to it. Like, it's just, you have what you got. You know, the sound is not very big. It's not very grandiose. I think it's very stripped down and raw.
Yeah.
And I think that more than anything else was the feeling of the song.
Yeah, it's really effective. I mean, it's hard to say, like, whether you should try it another way or not. I mean, it's just, it's hard to, I mean, I guess you can always try it like that, but it really did showcase, it just put the emotion, and I liked your phrasing a lot. Do you tend to stick with the same phrasing, or do you kind of, depends on where your breath is and how you're doing it at the time? What do you do with your phrasing?
It honestly depends on how nervous I am when performing it. Just because I feel like I don't always write or perform songs that are that vulnerable for others. But I really do think it just depends on how nervous I am, because that also, I think, is indicative of how I structure like my vocal track when I'm singing, you know, and whether or not I'm going to give you, you know, something very put together and, you know, theatrical almost, or what I think is the preferred method of just, you know, being very, like, this is the song.
Yeah, well, a big part of this song is the vulnerability. So if it was too slick, you know, it's like the nervousness serves that vulnerability of the song in a way. But yeah, I guess if you were going to record it, you get into that perfectionism, of like all the takes and like comping a take, and you might lose something. It's a tough song to know what to move forward with, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely think that it probably almost serves me better to do something, super raw, just like that take.
Why did you choose this song to play today?
Yeah.
What made you? If it's because it's from the past, right?
Yeah.
So
yes.
what made you choose this one?
Yeah. So I think first off, because I hadn't put it out, it's going to be fresh to anybody that wasn't, me or,
Sorry.
Me or my own parents, right? But also, I definitely wanted to bring something different to this experience. I think my MO has kind of been, being Jampop. I want to do the fun, danceable pop song, and we could have all kinds of conversations about what's too formulaic and what's not, and what makes a good, danceable, catchy, memorable pop song that transcends genre or time, and we could really have that conversation. But I felt like this was a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I think it would be. I think there's so much more that I could take from this as a person, to speak to a songwriter that I look up to about something that's entirely vulnerable.
Yeah.
As opposed to just like, hey, do you think I can check these boxes and write a catchy pop song?
Yeah.
And you go, oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you for picking this one, because it was very, very, very moving, and I like the description that in the intro, like with all the, because I have a lot of influences too.
Yes.
And I know that feeling of like, just having so many places that you want to go with something. And I was thinking, like, I was just trying to think of how much I like that music is doing that more. Like I love what, what is it? What Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak are doing with Silk Sonic. I love, going with that soul stuff, and I really like Steve Lacy and Dijon, and
big fan of both.
Yeah, the only reason I got to give credit to my daughter, because I don't, like, she'll be playing something, or like, I want to play you this, and I'm like, oh, I like that. What is that? Or I'll hear something. So I'm lucky that I have a daughter that keeps me out of the past. But when I hear a lot of that stuff, I hear, so much music, so much influence, and I love that you're doing that with yours. But as an introductory song, the authenticity of being vulnerable is like, you can't like do better than that. You can't.
Yeah.
People know. People's ability to discern bullshit or being put on is so developed now that I think that when something real comes before them, that they just glom onto it, and because there's so much fake, I don't even like saying the word fake. There's just so much, like, people trying and being an influencer and wanting likes and wanting followers, and
there's
just
a lot of noise.
Yeah. So it's almost like it rises a lot quicker when it's so real. And good for you for, like,
thank you so much.
Whether you meant to do it or not.
Yeah.
That's something to always keep in mind, I think, with your writing.
No, thank you so much. That means a lot to hear.
Yeah, I loved your song. I'd like to hear more.
Yeah, thank you. No, I'm excited to put out more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to do more. When I did my homework with you, I could only find, like,
the one song.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's all I had to go on. So
Right.
this was different from that, and I like.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I recently switched genres from more hip-hop centric music that I'd been making and producing. So I was almost a bit nervous coming into the situation of, hey, do I have a lot of background material to call from? But it's really been a blast and a pleasure to be able to grow that.
Well, you don't have to you don't have to like go. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to follow any rules. Like, oh, I'm a hip hop, or I do house music, or I do electronic, or you can do whatever you want. You know, I think it's it would be like limiting yourself to cut out any of it. So even whatever you're doing in the past, you can just whatever strikes you. You know.
Well, I appreciate you saying that so much. I think a lot of the people we've worked with here at the Rock Hall have echoed that sentiment. And I think I've done myself a big disservice trying to separate and compartmentalize so much of who I was musically.
Yeah.
So I definitely am looking to blend everything together to just give people a more authentic look at who is Jampop.
Yeah, you don't want to cut yourself off from anything that you love. I mean,
Right.
I remember like long time ago when the Go-Go's were making our second album, I met this young guy in the parking lot at A&M Records, and his name was Romeo Blue. And he said, we were sitting out there and we were talking, and he goes, well, you know, I want to be rock and roll, but you know, the people want me to be more R&B. Of course, Romeo Blue ended up being Lenny Kravitz, and he stuck with what he wanted to be. And I was just so proud because I remember saying, I go, you should do whatever you feel like is you musically, and it's just you can't go wrong there. And I think what you played was great, but I would love to hear what you did with anything, you know. And once you have your audience, once they trust you, and once they know that you're the real thing, they're going to go wherever you take them. And Kendrick Lamar and Frank Ocean are like also great examples of people that do what they want, you know. That should be your roadmap is right there. It's like wherever you want it to go. It's not a map. It's just, I mean, you get the whole map.
Yeah, you get the whole map.
You don't have to take any road. You get the map.
You get the globe.
You be the map. Yeah, you be the globe.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Well, I got a little choked up, not only during the song, but also hearing the two of you talk about that and talking about vulnerability in general. I think that's such a key part to being an artist, and if you're not vulnerable, you can't really be an artist.
Well, I mean, if that's who you are. I mean, the main thing is like, if you're able to be vulnerable, then that's who you are. But if you're not, you know, you might be just kind of like a cold jerk and be that.
Yeah.
I know a guy, I won't name any names, but he's never been as successful as he should be. And I always want to say, just be an arrogant jerk. You know, that's who you are. Just be that, and people will go to it, you know.
Another piece of advice you gave, I felt like, was a really Kathy Valentine thing to say. You said that he should just do whatever he wants. And I feel like you have built a career on that. I mean, I feel like the Go-Go's just did what they wanted before really there were any super successful all-women bands who played their own instruments and wrote their own songs. Do you feel like this is true, that you've made a career of just kind of being who you are and doing where the path took you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's a free-for-all, you know. I mean, but artistically speaking, you know, I mean, again, there's always it's always judgment and balance, you know. If you just do what you want all the time without any regard for, you know, there's just balance. You also have to kind of take care of business too, and be smart and like, okay, you know, I insist on singing my songs, but I'm not the greatest singer. Do I just keep barreling through being not the greatest singer, or do I maybe realize my talent is this and find a cool singer, you know?
Find people that compliment you.
Yeah, or maybe do I just keep doing it and hope I get better? You know, it's like these judgments and these choices you make can have huge effects on how things unfold. And it's something that, you know, that's just part of the process too. So it's like doing whatever you want is great, but what if something's like really it's getting traction and people are responding? Maybe that's a nudge from the universe.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? So you kind of
gotta kind of listen to that.
Yeah.
And go with it.
Yeah.
So we have one more resident rocker, Dominic Rodio. He is from the Cleveland area, but he's currently studying commercial guitar at Belmont University in Nashville, and he actually had to go back to school, so that's why he's not with us today. This summer was a bit of a homecoming for him, getting to be in Cleveland at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with the other resident rockers playing music here. So let's check out what Dom has in store for us.
My name is Dominic Rodio, and this song is called Slippin'. I'm not driving this car and I can't recall the last time that somebody was. Still a staggering on, drunk and aimless, waiting for the rekindle and crash. But I can feel it slipping away. I've been getting sick when you call in my name. On the shoulder you cried every reason why. The time changed along with your mind. Tell me how I should feel when the headlights pass and the feeling you wanted never comes. It never. I can feel it slipping away. I've been getting sick when you call in my name. Yours was the kind I've never known. Yours isn't mine to ever hold. I can feel it slipping away. I can't bring back who you used to be. Can't expect the same be done for me. You're ever present, though you're absent. It haunts me, baby. Let it slip away. I'm alone in the car and I can't recall the last time that I felt this falsely free. I can feel it slipping away. I've been getting sick when you call in my name. Yours was the kind I've never known. Yours isn't mine to ever hold. I can feel it slipping right away. Right away. Right away.
So, Dominic, I really want him to be in a band.
Me too.
I feel like that's band stuff. He's a singer of a band.
Yeah, he has a couple bands. He has the Meatball Mob, which is a local band here that he is the lead singer and guitarist of.
Okay.
And then he has a band back home. I'm not sure the name.
I do not remember.
But back in Nashville, he's got a band as well.
Yeah, I was like thinking Weezer, Train, just
Yeah.
like
You can tell those are his
Dave
influences.
Grohl, you know.
Yeah.
I was just like, come on, this guy needs to be in a band. So that's good to know. That's what he's doing.
Yes, that is what
And he was almost trying to kind of compensate for that with the guitar, you know, playing those kind of gentle high strings for the verse and then going to the low full notes of the guitar to kind of give that excitement for the chorus, almost like you would with a band.
Yeah, this song would be great with a band.
for sure.
And it's catchy. I found the melody to be catchy.
What did you guys think?
I love it. I heard him perform it, obviously, but He always surprises me with what he does. All of his songs are different. They have the common theme, you can tell the influences, but he always surprises me when he for example, that one note where he just switches to a super higher note in verses, which I love very much. I like when he kind of does that stuff, so I really liked it.
Yep. Cool. Me as well. What I really like about him is that I think he's very intentional when he writes and when he performs his songs. So, to your point, talking about his use of the fretboard and how he's able to use these lighter strings and then going up to fuller, lower chords for the chorus. But I also think he does the same thing with his dynamics vocally too. So I really appreciated seeing that when he performs it live, but also seeing it in the video as well.
It sounds like the three of you have learned a lot just by being in this together. Can you speak a little bit to that? What it's been like to just spend the summer with other musicians and singers and songwriters?
I know for me, it's been a blessing. They're both so talented, and we're all so different, but have that common love for music deep down that I feel really connects us together. Because I do the lo-fi and pop thing, and then Jampop obviously is doing the more pop, and he's got the hip hop and everything, and then Dom with his full band things. We all have different influences, but it's been really great to learn from each other, and we all have different strengths and weaknesses that I feel like I've learned a lot from them in different ways, and it's been really, really great.
No, yeah, I'd like to echo that as well. I think there's a big thing about how music connects us just as people, but also as artists, and I think this environment really lends for that. Right, I feel like in a lot of ways, I feel like Joe and Dom are like siblings, not just in a cheesy sentimental because we've spent the summer together, but also because I think we've engaged with each other artistically in a way that really brings us together, So, I think subconsciously in the ways that we make music moving forward, I think we'll start to see a lot of influences and things we've picked up from one another in the process.
Yeah.
So.
And even instrumentation wise too, Dom doing mainly guitar sets out on the plaza, you with, you got the kalimba in your video, but then also your cajon and your tracks, and me, I do mainly the piano and the uke thing. It's been super interesting to kind of take from that and see these are the different things that you can do, but just because I can't do it doesn't mean that I can't, have Dom play for me, or have Jamil do some drums on a track, or things like that. It's been super great to collab with each other in that kind of aspect.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in tonight for our Resident Rocker Songwriting Workshop with Kathy Valentine. A big thanks to Kathy for sharing her thoughts and her opinions and smart things about all of these songwriting sessions. Big thanks to the Resident Rockers for being vulnerable and sharing their music with us today. Big thanks also to the Kulas Foundation for their support of this program. If you enjoyed our Resident Rockers and you want to check them out live in action, come down to the museum on Friday, September 30th for our Resident Rocker Showcase. Thanks, everyone.